Hello बच्चे लोग, how are you? Once again your Dipti Nani is back with a new story for you. Before many years, there lived an old man named Mr. Samson, but everybody used to call him Mr. Sam. This Mr. Sam used to go every day in the evening to the marketplace to buy some vegetables and some groceries. One day, when he was going to the marketplace, he saw beautiful small brinjals hanging on the tree in one farm. And he was tempted to take those beautiful small brinjals. And he went inside the farm and he saw that nobody is there in the farm. And he thought that can I take these brinjals? But he knew that taking without anybody's permission, that is the theft. But he just thought of an idea. And what he did? He asked the farm in his voice, Farm, Mr. Farm. And then he only replied, Yes, Mr. Sam. Then once again he spoke, Mr. Farm, can I have 4 or 5 brinjals? And on behalf of farm, he said, Yes, Mr. Sam. Why 4 or 5 brinjals? You can take 8 or 10 brinjals also. And he started plucking the brinjals. And he took brinjals home. Next day, same thing happened and he behaved in the same way. Like this, he kept on doing this for 5 days. And the owner of the farm, his name was Mr. Dell. Mr. Dell was wondering where his brinjals are going. So one day, he decided to hide himself. He hid himself in the hut and he was keeping an eye at the entrance of the farm. Who was coming to the farm or who was passing by the farm, and suddenly he saw Mr. Sam entering in the farm. And he saw how Mr. Sam talked to the farm and plucked the brinjals. He came from the back, and when Mr. Sam was about to leave, he caught him and held him tightly. And he said, Mr. Sam, are you not ashamed of yourself? You steal brinjals from my farm? You don't even take my permission? I'll punish you. And Mr. Sam was scared. He started trembling with fear. And he said, I'll teach you a lesson. And he took one rope and he tied tightly around Mr. Sam and took him near the well. And then he did the same way. How Mr. Sam talked with the farm. And he said, Well, Mr. Well. And he only spoke on behalf of Well. Yes, Mr. Dell. Then he once again spoke, Yes, Mr. Well. Can I dip Mr. Sam 4 or 5 times in you? And he only replied on behalf of Well, Why 4 or 5 times? You can dip him 8 or 10 times in me. And Mr. Dell dipped Mr. Sam in the well 8 to 10 times. And Mr. Sam was really very uneasy and he started apologizing from well itself. And then Mr. Dell took him out. Once again, Mr. Sam apologized with folded hands that he would not steal any brinjal from his farm. And then Mr. Dell left Mr. Sam. So, did you like the story? Now, what do you learn from the story? We learn from the story is that we should not steal anything and we cannot take anybody's things without asking them or without taking their permission. Because if you take anything without asking the owner of that thing is a theft, and that theft or stealing the things is a very bad habit. Always remember not to steal anything. Okay? If you like my story, do like, share, and if you have not subscribed, do subscribe. And bye till I come.